Thomas raised his glass halfway through the dinner, tapping it with his fork. The room went quiet except for the clink of silverware and the hum of the restaurant around us. I looked over at Emma, thinking he was about to toast our anniversary. Instead, his eyes landed straight on me. "Greg," he said, "I want to thank you for your years at Whitmore Group. You've been dependable." He paused like he was choosing words from a pile he didn't care much about. "But moving forward, we've decided to restructure." I froze. I'd barely touched my steak. "What do you mean restructure?" Thomas smiled like this was some business update and not a gut punch. "You've been let go, effective immediately. We've brought in someone more fitting for the next phase of the company. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I thought it was a joke, a twisted one." I laughed, short and confused. "You're firing me tonight at a family dinner?" He didn't blink. "It's best we keep business and family separate now. There's a severance package. You'll find everything you need in the envelope." I looked around the table. His wife was dabbing her mouth with a napkin like nothing was happening. Emma wouldn't even meet my eyes. She just sat there, face blank, hands folded in her lap. "Emma," I said, my voice sharp now, "you're just gonna sit there?" She looked at me finally, but it was like looking at a stranger. No shock, no anger, just nothing. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I didn't know this would happen tonight." But that was it. That was all she said. Thomas waved over a man in a suit I didn't recognize, his lawyer. The guy handed me a small folder with documents and walked off like he was done delivering a pizza. I stood up. My chair scraped loud against the hardwood floor. My hands were clenched so tight I felt my nails dig into my palms. "You used me for 11 years, I said, loud enough for the whole table to hear. "I worked nights, weekends, holidays. I missed birthdays, anniversaries, everything, for this family. And now you're tossing me out like some intern?" Thomas picked up his wine glass again. "Don't make a scene, Greg. It's just business." I didn't say another word. I walked out of that overpriced restaurant, folder in hand, suit jacket in my fist, heart pounding. I didn't know it yet, but that wasn't the end. That was just the beginning. I spent that weekend alone in my old apartment in Brooklyn. Same one I had before Emma and I got married. The couch sagged in the middle, the radiator clicked all night, and the walls felt like they were closing in. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My phone kept lighting up with messages from Emma's mom, asking if I was okay, like I'd just tripped on a sidewalk, not gotten kicked out of the company I helped build. I ignored them all. On Monday morning, I pulled out the cardboard box I'd shoved in the back of my closet. It was full of old company documents, onboarding papers, signed contracts, tax stuff, half of it yellowed at the edges. It smelled like dust and wasted years. I figured if I was going to get dragged out like trash, I should at least know what exactly I'd signed my life away for. Midway through the stack, buried between an old employee handbook and a benefits form, I saw it, a stock certificate, issued to Gregory Allen Mercer, ownership stake 3%. Company, Whitmore Group Technologies, LLC. I sat there staring at it like it might evaporate. I'd forgotten all about it. Emma's dad had handed me that paper during my second year, after I landed the Clearwater defense contract. Said it was a token of appreciation. Said I was part of the family now. I never saw a dime from it, never heard another word about it. I Googled the company's estimated value. Took a second, cross-checked it with public investment reports. I double-checked the share dilution, ran the math again. 3% of the current valuation? Over $45 million. My stomach flipped. I leaned back against the wall, holding the certificate like it might catch fire. They never canceled it. They never bought it back. Either they forgot about it completely, or they thought I would. Maybe Emma didn't even know, or maybe she did, and kept her mouth shut like she always did when it involved her dad. I suddenly felt wide awake. Not angry, not even shocked, just sharp. It was like I'd been drowning in humiliation and someone handed me an oxygen tank. This wasn't some severance package or pity money. This was ownership. Legal, documented ownership in the empire they built on my back. They kicked me out thinking I was done. They wanted me gone, broke, humiliated. But I still had a seat at the table, a small one, but one they couldn't erase. I grabbed my laptop and started digging. Old emails, internal reports, board updates. I pieced together the valuation timeline, the growth percentages, everything I could to verify the stake. Every number confirmed what I already knew. They'd screwed up. Bad. And now I had leverage. Now I had power. I didn't sleep. I sat at the small kitchen table until the sun came up, staring at the certificate like it might start talking. Around 8, I picked up my phone and called Tony. He answered on the second ring. "Greg, you sound rough." "I need you to look at something," I said. "Today." An hour later, we were sitting in his office in Midtown. I slid the certificate across his desk without saying a word. He adjusted his glasses and leaned in. His jaw tightened as he read it. "You're kidding me," he said. "They never clawed this back?" "No," I said. "Never touched it." He leaned back hard in his chair. "This is real, fully executed. If it checks out with the operating agreement, you're a legal owner." I exhaled slow. "I just want what's mine, quietly." Tony shook his head once. "That's not how this ends." I frowned. "I'm not trying to start a war." "You don't get to choose that," he said. "Thomas will. The second you assert this, he'll fight, hard, and if you keep it quiet, he'll try to bury you." I rubbed my face. "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying the smartest move might be the loudest one," Tony said. "Public claim, formal demand, force them to deal with you in the open." My phone buzzed on the table, then again and again. "Emma." I flipped it over, but Tony had already seen the name. "She knows?" "She knows I'm gone," I said. "Now she's panicking." Another buzz. I finally checked the messages. "What were you thinking storming out like that? Do you realize what this does to us financially? Dad says you're being unreasonable. Not one word about how it felt. Not one question about me." Tony watched my face. "That answers a lot." "She never cared about the hours," I said. "Just what they bought her." The phone rang. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again. Tony stood and walked to the window. "If you do this, Greg, it'll cost you. Lawyers, time, stress. Your marriage might not survive it." I stared at the phone until it stopped buzzing. "I think it's already over." He turned back to me. "Then decide who you're doing this for." I picked up the certificate and slid it back into my folder. "For me." Tony nodded once. "Then we go public, but once you step in, there's no stepping out." I stood up, heart pounding, hands steady. "I'm done being managed." I walked out of his office, pulled my phone from my pocket, and typed one email to Tony with 3 words in the subject line. "Assert my stake." I hit send and kept walking. Diane Pierce didn't mess around. Tony referred me, said she was the one you called when things got ugly. Her office was in a no-nonsense building near Wall Street, clean and sharp, just like her. She shook my hand, like she already knew she was going to win. "This isn't just a dispute," she said, flipping through the packet I handed her. "This is leverage. Real leverage." She wore thin black frames and moved fast, like she didn't have time to babysit. I liked her immediately. "I want a file," I said. "Today." "Then let's do it," she said, grinning. "They've got 30 days to respond. In the meantime, you need to prepare for 2 things: silence and pressure." We submitted the claim by that afternoon. 1 certified letter to Whitmore Group headquarters, 1 direct email to their general counsel. By sunset, the clock had started ticking. I walked back to the subway feeling lighter than I had in weeks, but the silence Diane mentioned came fast. Old coworkers, guys I mentored and backed in meetings, ghosted me like I had the plague. My inbox dried up. Texts went unanswered. I started job hunting again. Nothing big, just looking to stabilize. Sent out resumes, set up interviews, even toyed with a business idea I'd shelved years ago. Diane called me 3 days later. "They're going to offer you money," she said, skipping any greeting. "It'll be big, and they'll want you to shut up and walk away." "Let me guess," I said. "Confidentiality clause, no admission of wrongdoing, no seat at the table." "Exactly. You take it, it's over. You walk, and they wipe your name off the company's history like you were never there." I paced across the room, looking out my 3rd-floor window at a broken fire escape and a pile of garbage bags. "Let them try," I said. She laughed once. Good. Just remember, the offer's gonna come dressed like a blessing. It's not. I nodded to myself. I know exactly what it is. Later that night, I got a text. Unknown number. Let's discuss a resolution. For everyone's benefit. Then another. $22 million, walk away now. No signature, no details. Just a number meant to shut me up. I stared at it for a long time, then locked my phone and set it down. I picked my phone back up and read the message again. $22 million. Clean. Quiet. Gone. It was the kind of number people dream about when they hate their jobs. The kind that erases mortgages, stress, and second guesses. And there I was, sitting in a one-bedroom apartment with a flickering kitchen light and a bank balance that kept shrinking every week. I called Diane. She answered immediately. They reached out, didn't they? 22, I said. No paperwork yet, just a hook. She exhaled slow. That means they're scared. I leaned against the counter, staring at a stack of unpaid bills. It means I could walk away right now and never look back. And it means they want you silent, she said. No acknowledgement, no history, no credit. I closed my eyes. I could picture Thomas already, smug, relieved, telling his board the problem was handled, telling Emma I took the money and disappeared. They're bluffing, Diane continued. If this was their final number, they'd have sent contracts. This is a test. I rubbed my jaw. It would change everything. Yes, she said, and it would cost you everything else. I hadn't landed a single job yet. Interviews went cold the moment they heard my name. Recruiters smiled and never called back. The Whitmores didn't have to say anything. Their shadow did enough. I walked to the window and looked out at the street below. People rushing, living their lives, not knowing how close I was to cashing out and vanishing. They already erased me once, I said. I won't let them do it again. That's the right instinct, Diane said, but you need to say it out loud, to yourself. I turned back to the room, to the couch I slept on, to the boxes I never unpacked. I'm not selling my name, she paused. Then we decline, formally. Not yet, I said. I want them to feel it. I picked up my phone and typed one line, not interested, direct future communication through counsel. I sent it before I could rethink it. The room went quiet, no buzz, no reply, just the hum of the fridge and my own heartbeat slowing down. Diane broke the silence. You just told them you're not desperate. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Because I'm not. They'll come back, she said, with more pressure, more money. Good, I said. They can watch me stand my ground. I ended the call and sat down, hands steady. $22 million was off the table. I wasn't done fighting. The first article dropped on a Tuesday. Ex-executive Greg Mercer files suit against Whitmore Group, claims ownership stake. I saw it on my phone while waiting for the subway, sandwiched between a guy blasting music and a woman yelling into her AirPods. By the time I got off 2 stops later, 3 more outlets had picked it up. Tech blogs, business sites, even some legacy names. Suddenly my inbox, dead for weeks, was crawling with interview requests and press inquiries. Diane called. Don't respond to anyone. Let me handle the media side. This is where they'll start panicking. She wasn't wrong. By Friday, I was on the front page of a niche tech publication. They laid out my career like a blueprint. Contracts I closed, patents I helped secure, infrastructure I built from scratch. My name was finally being tied to the work I'd poured myself into for over a decade. I should have felt vindicated, but all I felt was tired. Every day something new came down the pipeline. Motions, threats, delays. Thomas's legal team tried to drag it out with filings and procedural games, but Diane wasn't rattled. She'd seen it before. They're flailing, she said during one late-night call. This is what it looks like when powerful people realize they don't control the whole board. Meanwhile, the Whitmores started leaking crap. Some business podcast ran a segment calling me bitter and disgruntled. An anonymous tip claimed I'd exaggerated my role in several major contracts. One headline read, "Jilted son-in-law makes power grab or payout." I stared at it on my laptop, jaw tight. They were trying to paint me like some mooch who married into money and got greedy, like I hadn't built half the damn engine. Then the messages started coming in, from old coworkers, people I thought were gone for good. Quiet notes, short texts. Saw the news, just wanted to say, you earned everything they're trying to take from you. Don't let them bury the truth. They didn't want to go public. I didn't blame them, but I appreciated every single one. The pressure was constant. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat without thinking about legal costs or headlines, or whether I'd made the wrong call turning down that money. My hands were always clenched, even when I didn't realize it. Then I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Aaron Geller," the voice said. "You got a minute?" I hadn't spoken to Aaron since he left the company 4 years ago. Brilliant engineer, sharp as hell, and one of the few people who ever challenged Thomas in a meeting. "Go ahead," I said. "I'm starting something. Small team, pre-funding. But we're building smart tech with real teeth. I want you consulting, strategy, ops, anything you can give. I'll pay you fair. No politics, just respect." I didn't answer right away. I just sat there with the phone to my ear, finally feeling like I could breathe again. "Yeah," I said. "Let's talk." The courtroom was dead silent when the judge spoke. "Mr. Mercer's claim is valid. His 3% ownership in Whitmore Group stands." Just like that, it was over. I didn't smile, didn't pump my fist. I just sat there, letting the words sink in. Across the aisle, Thomas looked like someone had just cracked his jaw. Emma stared down at the table like she wanted to disappear. They had tried everything, but they couldn't erase me. Later that week, the IPO documents dropped. I flipped through the pages, and there it was, my name, printed in bold, listed under official shareholders. Acknowledged, permanent. 2 days before the shareholder meeting, I got an envelope in the mail. Inside was a single-page letter on Whitmore Group letterhead. "Greg, I made a mistake. I let personal feelings cloud a professional decision. I hope you'll accept my apology. Thomas." It wasn't handwritten, wasn't signed, just typed and cold. I didn't reply. I didn't need his apology. I already had what I came for. My shares were worth over $47 million now. Diane forwarded a fresh offer. Buyout, NDA, full disconnect. I said no. They wanted me out. I wanted my name locked in. That was the deal. The day of the meeting, I walked into the main conference room at Whitmore HQ in Midtown. I'd been there hundreds of times before, but never like this. Never with my name printed on a placard at the table. I wore the same navy suit I used to wear when I was pitching clients no one thought we'd land. Thomas sat at the head of the table, face stiff, knuckles white around his pen. I pulled out my chair, nodded to the board, and sat. No one spoke to me. A few offered weak smiles. Emma didn't even glance my way. But I saw it. I felt it. They knew. They knew I wasn't just some employee they could toss out when it got convenient. I was part of the foundation, the reason half their systems even worked. And now, I owned my piece of it, legally, publicly, permanently. Their empire wasn't crumbling yet, but the cracks were showing. And me, I was just getting started.